Have you ever wondered how long your survival stockpile will actually last? It's a question that can haunt the minds of those prepared for the worst. You've spent months, maybe even years, meticulously gathering and storing those supplies. But when the day comes, will it be enough? And for how long? Understanding your stockpile's longevity is not just about peace of mind, it's about survival. In this video, we're going to delve into that very question. We'll break down your stockpile into real survival timelines, helping you understand just how long you can rely on your provisions. From food and water to fuel and power options, we'll explore the lifespan of each of your resources. So get ready. It's time to take a good hard look at your supplies and prepare for the moment when the clock runs out. The moment when you might need to become self-reliant. A common misconception among preppers is that a full pantry equals lifetime security. It's easy to feel invincible when you're surrounded by shelves upon shelves of canned goods, stacks of bottled water, and a garage full of fuel. But here's the hard truth. A stockpile, no matter how extensive, is not a permanent solution. It's a buffer, a safety net, a temporary reprieve designed to buy you time, not to provide an endless supply. Let's put it this way. Imagine your stockpile as an hourglass. The moment a crisis hits and society as we know it collapses, that hourglass flips. The sand starts to pour from one bulb to the other, representing the depletion of your supplies. Your task then is not to watch the sand drain away, but to use that time to transition into a sustainable survival lifestyle. Your stockpile is not your end game, it's your starting point. It's the breathing space you need to set up your rain catchment system, to plant your garden, to establish your hunting and foraging routines. It's the cushion that lets you make mistakes, learn, and adapt without the immediate threat of starvation or dehydration. But remember, this hourglass doesn't have an infinite amount of sand. Every can you open, every bottle you drink, every log you burn, it all brings you closer to the moment when your supplies run out. And when that happens, you can't flip the hourglass back over. There's no reset button in a survival situation. So while it's important to build a robust stockpile, it's equally crucial to understand its purpose. Your stockpile is not a lifeline that lasts forever. It's a countdown clock, ticking down the time you have left to become fully self-reliant. Don't let the comfort of your stockpile lull you into a false sense of security. Use it as a tool, a stepping stone on your path towards self-sufficiency. Because when that last grain of sand falls, when the last can is emptied, and the last drop of water is drunk, your survival depends on what you've managed to build while your stockpile was holding back the tide. Remember, your stockpile is just buying you time, so use it wisely. Now let's delve into the specifics of your food supply. The first thing to understand is that food isn't just about filling your stomach. It's about fueling your body. One adult needs between 2,000 to 2,500 calories per day. But before you start calculating cans of beans and bags of rice, remember, not all calories are created equal. You also need a balance of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates to keep your body functioning at its best. So how does that translate to your pantry? Well, let's say you've got a year's supply of food. Sounds impressive, right? But if you've got a family of 4, that year's supply might only last 3 months. And that's assuming you're eating the bare minimum to stay alive. You might think rationing is the answer, and yes, it can buy you some time, but it also increases stress and fatigue. Your body will be working overtime trying to make the most of those reduced calories. And in a survival situation, the last thing you need is to be feeling weak and worn out. Now let's talk about shelf life and spoilage. Not all food is created equal here either. Some foods, like canned goods and dried pasta, can last for years, but others, like oils and certain grains, can spoil faster than you might think. And then there's the issue of storage conditions. Heat, moisture, and pests can all shorten the lifespan of your food stockpile. And one more thing. That year's supply of food, it assumes you're not doing anything else. No gardening, hunting, or foraging, just sitting and eating. But, in reality, you'll hopefully be doing all of those things, which means you'll need even more calories. So, your year's supply might not last as long as you think. Remember, your stockpile is a buffer. It buys you time to transition to self-reliance. Use that time wisely, because once it's gone for good. Water is an essential part of survival, but it's also the first thing you'll run out of. Water is the lifeblood of our existence. It is vital for cooking, cleaning, and most importantly, keeping us hydrated. However, in a survival situation, water can become a scarce resource, and if you're not careful, it could be the first thing you'll run out of. The average person needs about 1 gallon of water per day. This covers drinking, cooking, and minimal hygiene needs. Now multiply that by the number of people in your household, and you can quickly calculate how much water you need each month. For a family of 4, you're looking at a whopping 120 gallons per month. Now let's take a look at your stockpile. How many gallons of water have you stored? If you followed the rule of thumb and stored a 3-day supply for every member of your household, you'll realize that it's not nearly enough. Even with rationing, bottled water disappears quickly. A week into a crisis, you might find your water supply dwindling down to the last few gallons. That's when panic sets in. That's when survival becomes an uphill battle. Fuel is another essential component of survival, but how long will your supply last? Let's talk about gas first. It's a go-to fuel for many, but it has a shelf life of 6 to 12 months, even when stabilized. So, if you're banking on that old can of gasoline in your garage, you might want to rethink your strategy. Now, propane is a different story. It lasts considerably longer, but the rate at which you'll burn through it depends on the appliances you're using. A grill, a heater, a generator, they all consume propane at different rates. And what about wood? Well, that's a bit more complicated. Your supply depends on your local climate, your rate of consumption, and your access to more wood. If you're in a forest, great. If you're in the desert, not so great. We also need to consider real use rates for cooking, heating, and backup power. Your fuel supply might not last as long as you think, so plan accordingly. Power is crucial in a survival situation, but what are your options? Let's start with battery banks. They are a popular choice, and for a good reason. They store energy for when you need it, giving you an immediate source of power. However, their runtime is limited. Depending on your usage, a battery bank may last you just a few hours or perhaps a couple of days. But once those batteries are drained, you're out of power unless you have a way to recharge them. Next up is solar power. This is a fantastic renewable source of energy. As long as the sun is shining, you're generating power. But here's the catch. You need to size your system correctly. If your solar array is too small, it's not going to produce enough power for your needs. On the other hand, a system that's too large can be costly and difficult to maintain. It's all about finding the right balance. Finally, let's talk about generators. These are a solid choice for short-term power outages. They're reliable and can provide a lot of power. But remember, generators are only as good as the fuel you have stored for them. Whether you're using gasoline, propane, or diesel, once your fuel supply runs out, your generator becomes a very heavy paperweight. Each of these power options has its pros and cons. Battery banks offer immediate power, but their runtime is limited. Solar power is renewable, but your system needs to be sized correctly to meet your needs. And generators can provide a lot of power, but they're reliant on a finite fuel supply. Choosing the right power solution for your situation is a critical part of your survival plan. It's not just about having power, it's about having power that will last. And remember, most systems aren't designed for daily off-grid life, so choose wisely. Sanitation is often overlooked in survival situations, but it's a silent timer. As we all know, cleanliness is next to godliness, and in a survival situation, it is next to life itself. When our regular sanitation supplies like toilet paper, soap, feminine hygiene products, and trash bags run out, we're left vulnerable to a host of diseases. These are the silent threats that can turn a survival situation into a disaster scenario in a heartbeat. What happens when the trash starts piling up? When the soap runs out? When you don't have a place to dispose of waste? These are questions that need answers, and they need them before the situation arises. The solution? DIY alternatives and long-term substitutes. Handmade soap, reusable hygiene products, composting toilets, the list goes on. These aren't just alternatives, they're necessities when your stockpile runs low. So don't forget to stock up on sanitation supplies, as they are crucial for survival. So we've covered a lot today, but the key takeaway is this. Your stockpile is a buffer, not a permanent solution. It's clear that stockpiling is a crucial part of your survival strategy, giving you the time and security to transition into a self-reliant state. But it's not the be-all and end-all. It's a beginning. A head start, if you will. But it's not the finish line. We've journeyed through the realities of how long your food will actually last, considering factors like daily calorie needs, the number of mouths to feed, and the often overlooked aspect of rationing. We've also highlighted the urgency of water storage and how it's usually the first thing to run out, emphasizing the need for a renewable source. We've explored the depletion rates of different fuels like gas, propane, and wood, and the importance of understanding their usage rates depending on your devices and climate. We've delved into power options, from battery banks to solar systems and generators, and the importance of sizing these systems correctly for off-grid living. We've also touched on the silent timer that is sanitation supplies. When these run out, disease follows, and you'll need to start creating DIY alternatives or find long-term substitutes. And don't forget the items that you're likely to run out of first and fast. Things like cooking oil, salt, baking supplies, trash bags, lighter fluid, and over-the-counter meds. We've stressed the importance of not overlooking these items as they are often understocked and irreplaceable post-collapse. Your shift to self-reliance should start before your supplies run out. Don't wait until your pantry is half empty to start gardening, gathering, and building. Have a survival transition plan in place, and remember, even the best-laid plans can fail. So have backup plans ready, like bartering networks, community sharing, scavenging routes, and renewable food sources. We hope this video has been a wake-up call to start doing the math on your stockpile. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more real prepping content that goes beyond the basics.